There was this guy at my girlfriend's job, a real piece of work. He was always buzzing around her, calling her big sis. Chloe, could you help me? I'm so lost with this. Chloe, you're a lifesaver. A total pro, but you look so young. Chloe, you're working so late. Isn't your boyfriend coming to get you? Chloe had complained to me about him multiple times, calling him a two-faced suck-up. I see right through his little games, she'd said. He's trying to drive a wedge between us. What a loser. I just laughed it off, never giving it a second thought. After all the years we'd been together, I trusted her completely. But I never imagined that when I cut my business trip short to come home and propose, to give her the ultimate surprise, I would find that same guy on top of her, whispering breathlessly, "So, Chloe, am I as sweet as you thought?" I couldn't believe it. This was Chloe, the woman who was on FaceTime just last night, telling me she'd love me forever, that she missed me so much she couldn't sleep. Now she was here, clothes in disarray, her hands wrapped around the neck of this other man, Caleb. Their lips were locked, bodies tangled together. Caleb's voice drifted from the bedroom. "Your boyfriend will be back soon, Chloe. So tonight, why don't we try something new?" Chloe let out a throaty laugh. Her finger traced a line down his chest. "Okay," she purred. "Whatever you want." Crash. The mug in my hand slipped and shattered on the floor. The sharp sound startled the two lovebirds inside. A few minutes later, Chloe rushed out of the room, flustered. "Ethan, when did you get back?" I glanced at Caleb, who followed her out, his shirt half unbuttoned, fresh scratch marks visible on his chest. "Not long," I said, my voice flat, "but long enough to catch the main event." Chloe's eyes darted away. "Ethan, don't misunderstand. I was taking Caleb's measurements. I'm a fashion designer, you know. I was going to make him a custom suit, like a New Year's bonus for an employee." "Measurements?" A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Did measurements require that much intimacy? Did they require pressing your lips together? Did they require tearing each other's clothes off? I stood up. "I'm exhausted. I need to rest. Try to keep it down. And by the way, I don't do sloppy seconds." Chloe's face went pale. She stormed over and grabbed my collar. "Ethan Cole, what is that supposed to mean? Are you accusing me? I'm your girlfriend. Don't I have the freedom to have friends? Does being in the same room with another man automatically mean it's some dirty affair in your head?" Caleb shuffled over, his voice cracking with fake emotion. "Mr. Cole, please don't misunderstand our relationship. Chloe and I are we're pure." "Pure?" I almost spit. I pointed to the condom wrapper I'd spotted peeking out from between the sofa cushions. Chloe's grip loosened. That's yours." I blinked back the sting in my eyes. "I'm allergic to strawberry." She swayed on her feet. "Ethan, that's..." Caleb brought his girlfriend over last time. They must have left it. I made you a candlelight dinner." Before I could say anything, she pulled me toward the dining room. Candles were lit, the scene romantic and warm, except for one detail that ruined everything. The cake on the table, with "Happy Birthday, Caleb" written in icing. I smiled, a hollow, empty thing. "You two enjoy." I wrenched my arm free and walked into the guest room, shutting the door behind me. The moment it clicked shut, I opened my right hand. Lying in my palm was the gift I'd brought for Chloe. A custom diamond ring, engraved with both our names, worth a small fortune. I had pushed myself to the brink, cutting my sleep to almost nothing, just to get back early to propose. And this was what was waiting for me. Thump! I slammed my fist into the bed, the rage finally boiling over. The cheap box spring cracked, and something underneath shifted. I instinctively reached down and pulled out a storage box. Just as I was about to open it, Chloe and Caleb burst into the room. "That's Caleb's. Don't open it, that's rude." I froze. "Why are his things under our bed?" I asked, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. Caleb walked over with a sheepish grin and snatched the box from my hands. "My lease was up, so Chloe said I could crash here for a bit. I've been sleeping in the guest room, so that's my stuff." I was still trying to process the fact that he'd been living in our apartment when his hand slipped and the box crashed to the floor. Its contents scattered everywhere. My eyes widened and my stomach dropped. Sex toys. Dozens of them. A few stray beads rolled to a stop at my feet. And among the mess, a photograph. In it, Chloe was lying on the bed in sheer lingerie. Tied to her ankle was the one thing I held sacred. The custom-made charm I'd driven 6 hours to that little mountain town to have made for her, a token of my protection and love. But what made my blood run cold was that she'd attached 2 small, jingling bells to it. I saw the charm lying there, amidst the toys, and Caleb's foot was on it. He noticed my gaze, and a smug grin spread across his face as he deliberately ground his heel down. The charm split in two. He feigned shock. "Oh, my bad. It was an accident. Mr. Cole, how about I buy you a new one? I'm sure there's something on Amazon for, like, $9.99. Or, if you want, I could just Venmo you the $10 right now. He actually took out his phone. Crack, I lost it. My fist connected with his face, a solid, meaty thud. He crumpled to the floor, blood trickling from his lip. Ethan, are you insane? Chloe shrieked. She knelt beside Caleb, tenderly touching his bruised face. It's my fault, Chloe, Caleb whimpered, playing the victim. I shouldn't have stayed here. I'll go. He struggled to his feet. Chloe's gaze, full of fury, fell on me. I am the woman of this house. If I say you can stay, no one can kick you out. She carefully helped Caleb up. He melted in her arms, wrapping his hands around her waist in a blatant act of defiance, right in front of me. Ethan, she said, her voice cold, you attacked Caleb for no reason. I'm not going to forgive you for this easily. You need to think long and hard about how you're going to apologize to him. Watching her lead him out of the room, my strength gave out and I sank to the floor. I'd known Chloe for 5 years. A year ago, she'd finally agreed to be my girlfriend, and it was the happiest day of my life. I gave her everything just to see her smile. I turned down a promotion at corporate headquarters for her. I worked day and night to make more money, to give her anything she wanted. She dreamed of being her own boss, so I drained my savings to open a fashion design studio for her. I never asked her to earn a dime. I just wanted her to be happy, doing what she loved. From the other room, I could hear their light, carefree laughter. In that moment, for the first time, I truly understood what a broken heart felt like. Chloe spent the entire night taking care of Caleb. The next morning, when I emerged from the guest room, I found her in the kitchen, actually cooking. Hey, Chloe, Caleb called out from the living room, lounging on the couch like a king. Can you add more smoked salmon to the scramble? I love it that way. This was the same woman who had never once set foot in the kitchen for me, who claimed she didn't want to become a drab housewife. Now here she was, attentively making breakfast for Caleb. Her movements were clumsy, and she yelped as hot oil spattered, a picture of domestic chaos. She saw me and put down the spatula. You hurt Caleb last night. He couldn't sleep at all. Now you're going to make him breakfast as an apology. I walked into the kitchen. Chloe smiled, then picked up a bowl of fruit and carried it to Caleb. You little monster, these are all your favorites. I went to the market first thing this morning to get them fresh for you. Caleb sauntered over, a grown man moving with an affected, preening gait, wearing a ridiculously loud floral shirt. You're so good to me, Chloe. She smiled and popped a grape into his mouth. Right in front of me, he stuck out his tongue and licked her fingers, making her giggle. It took her a moment to notice me again. When she saw I was making a cup of instant ramen, her smile vanished. I told you to make him the salmon scramble. Didn't you hear me? I peeled back the lid, the savory steam filling the air. I was starving. I took a quick bite. It was perfect. My silence infuriated her. She snatched the cup from my hands and dumped it in the trash. I said, make Caleb his breakfast. Are you deaf? I looked down. Are his hands broken? Does he need me to serve him? I'm not in the habit of waiting on people. I took a step closer. Since you're so concerned about him, so worried he'll miss a meal, have you ever thought about making it official? Keeping him around as your little assistant just doesn't seem right. Chloe froze, then her face contorted. Ethan, what are you trying to say? I smiled. We're done. I'll even wish you two the best. She looked stunned. It was only when I turned to leave that she panicked and grabbed my hand. Ethan, are you still mad about me and Caleb? I told you, I only see him as a little brother. I pulled my hand away. As I did, my eyes caught a faint, purplish mark on her neck. She instinctively covered it with her hand. It was a mosquito. It bit me last night. I glanced over at Caleb. Must have been a big one. And it bit you, but left your little assistant alone. Smart mosquito. Chloe heard the sarcasm in my voice, and her expression flickered. How long are you going to keep this up? Our wedding isn't a month. If you break up with me now, where does that leave me? A small, humorless smile touched my lips. You can always find a new groom. Your parents can still collect the wedding gifts. As I said it, I couldn't help but picture the greedy faces of her parents. Their demands had been staggering. $1 million for their retirement, a downtown condo worth at least $2 million, 10 grand for every single cousin, another 50 grand to set up her brother in some business venture, plus another 300,000 in miscellaneous costs. They'd been clear that none of the money was for Chloe. It was for her brother's future wedding. And I had agreed to all of it. For one reason, I love Chloe, and I was willing to do anything for her. But now, whatever love I had felt vanished the moment I found out she betrayed me. Perhaps realizing I was serious, Chloe dropped the defiant act. She stood on her toes, her voice turning soft and cajoling, and planted a kiss on my cheek. Honey, if you don't like Caleb, we could just leave him here. Let's move into the new house today. I can check out the renovations. If there's anything I don't like, we'll still have a month to fix it. I pulled a tissue from my pocket and deliberately wiped the spot she had kissed. Chloe's face fell. Ethan Cole, don't push it. I've been trying to make up with you. If you keep acting like this, I'll never forgive you. I tossed the tissue into the trash. Whatever. I walked out of the room and immediately called a junk removal service. 10 minutes later, their crew arrived. Throw everything out, I told them. All of it. When the workers started hauling Caleb's clothes out of the guest room, he panicked. Chloe. Chloe was seething. Ethan, you've gone too far. I ignored her, directing the workers to clear out every room, including Chloe's designer clothes and handbags. She scrambled to gather her precious belongings in her arms. But when I picked up the $19.99 watch she'd given me for my birthday, a gift I had once treasured like a crown jewel, and tossed it into a trash bag, she finally broke. I gave that to you, she cried. I nodded. I don't want you anymore, I said coldly. Why would I want your worthless junk? The crew was efficient. In less than an hour, all of Chloe and Caleb's possessions were piled by the door. Just as I was about to kick them out, Chloe rushed in front of me, her hands protectively on her stomach. I'm pregnant, she declared, and the baby is yours. Her announcement caught me completely off guard. She smiled, pulling out a pregnancy test report from her purse. I was going to surprise you, but you just kept misunderstanding things with Caleb. I looked at the report. 8 weeks pregnant. Caleb had started at her studio a month ago. By my calculation, they'd been together at most for a month. Could the baby really be mine? Chloe threw her arms around me, biting her lip pitifully. You kept accusing me, honey. It hurts so much. I'm going to have to punish you by making you give me your bank card for safekeeping. While I stood there in silence, she'd already taken the card from my wallet. You can have the card, I said, my voice hardening as I looked at Caleb. But he gets out. Now. Chloe hesitated, then started swaying my arm back and forth. Honey, I'm pregnant, and my appetite is all over the place. Caleb's a really good cook. Why don't we let him stay as my personal chef? That way, the baby will get all the nutrients it needs. I let out a cold laugh and shoved Caleb toward the door. Get out. He looked at Chloe with wide, pleading eyes. Chloe, I have nowhere to go. Are you really going to let me be homeless? The undisguised pity in her eyes was all I needed to see. Can't he just stay? It's not like we can't afford to feed one more person. You can also choose to leave with him, I said calmly. Chloe made her choice quickly. Fine, honey. I'll listen to you. You can go. She thought she was being subtle, but I clearly saw her slip my bank card into Caleb's hand as she whispered, use it for whatever you need. Take care of yourself. I didn't say a word. As soon as I was back in my room, I called the bank and froze all my accounts. Less than an hour later, Chloe burst in, frantic. Your card was declined. What's going on? I raised an eyebrow, feigning ignorance. You were buying something? She wrung her hands. It's Caleb. He asked to borrow some money, but the card wouldn't work. Now, they're holding him at the store. A smirk touched my lips. Let's go take a look. Chloe hesitated, but finally agreed. We arrived at a high-end men's boutique to find a pile of merchandise on the counter. 7 or 8 designer suits, shirts, shoes, a fancy watch, and even underwear. Caleb looked utterly pathetic when he saw Chloe. They're calling me a fraud, Chloe. They want me to pay for the clothes I supposedly damaged. I told them the card must have an issue, but they wouldn't believe me. When I was arguing with them, I bumped into the corner of the counter. It really hurts. He lifted his shirt. Sure enough, a large bruise was forming on his waist, right next to the scratch marks on his back. Chloe quickly pulled his shirt down. Honey, the card probably only works for you. Can you just pay for him? I glanced at Caleb's haul on the counter. Why should I pay for your employee's shopping spree? I asked flatly. Chloe was taken aback. Caleb grabbed her arm. Chloe, I bought all this for you. Especially these. He pointed to several pairs of sexy men's briefs next to the suits. You said, he whispered, that you love seeing me in this brand. You said it drives you wild. Chloe's face drained of color. Underneath the briefs, I saw several pieces of women's lingerie. Caleb held them up like trophies. And I bought these for you, Chloe. I took a look. They were Chloe's size, her favorite brand and style. What a coincidence, I said slowly. Your little assistant even knows your bra size. Chloe was starting to panic. Ethan, don't listen to him. He bought those for his girlfriend. Caleb, completely missing her cue, held the lingerie up to her. But Chloe, you said you wouldn't wear any other brand. You said this style makes you feel like a total vixen. With every word he spoke, Chloe's face grew paler. She spun around and slapped him hard across the face. If you say one more stupid thing in front of my boyfriend, you're fired. Caleb fell silent, cowering behind her. Honey, just pay for it, please, Chloe begged. Everyone's staring. This is so embarrassing. I looked at her, my expression unreadable. Your assistant knows your bra size. Looks like you two have been busy. I'm not paying. Figure it out yourselves. I shook off her hand and walked out of the store without looking back. Chloe returned late that night, her face a mask of fury. Leaving your own girlfriend at a store to be humiliated by everyone. Is that what you call love, Ethan? I calmly set down my coffee cup. Miss Vance, let me remind you, we broke up a long time ago. The moment you cheated on me, my love for you died. Chloe flinched. She staggered toward me. So, you're abandoning me? And the baby? She took my hand and placed it on her stomach. Soon, the baby will be able to hear your voice. You could talk to him every day. I remained silent. Thinking my anger had subsided, she snuggled against me. Honey, I'm hungry. Can you make me something? I'm craving your short ribs and shrimp scampi and that clam chowder you make. Before she could finish, her phone rang. It was the custom ringtone she had set for Caleb. She hesitated. Answer it, I said. With me watching, she pressed the button. Caleb's voice came through the speaker, loud and clear. Hey babe, the waterbed at this hotel is way better than the last one. You want to come check it out after your boyfriend falls asleep? The phone slipped from her hand and clattered to the floor. Ethan, he must be drunk. He's just talking nonsense. I'm a pregnant woman. How could I do anything to betray you? The baby and I will always be by your side. I stood up and picked up a medical report from the side table. I tossed it in front of her. I'm sterile, I said. So whose baby is it? Chloe completely fell apart. She dropped to her knees, grabbing my legs. Ethan, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please, forgive me just this once. I promise. I promise I'll be a good wife and mother from now on. I'll stay by your side forever. Tears streamed down her face. She looked utterly pitiful. Once that look would have made my heart ache, and I would have pulled her into my arms. But now, all I felt was disgust. I pulled my leg free. Got out of my house. Realizing there were no second chances, Chloe's inherent pride took over. She scrambled to her feet. I can be perfectly happy without you, Ethan Cole. You just wait and see. Chloe left. Caleb came and picked her up. Half an hour later, she posted on Instagram. Caleb is where my forever begins, red heart. The picture was of the two of them, half undressed, lounging on a waterbed. A sarcastic smile twisted my lips. I quickly deleted her from all my contacts. The next day, I went to the city office and officially dissolved the business license for the fashion design studio I had opened for her. With all the paperwork done, I called the landlord to terminate the lease. He was on a tight schedule, so we agreed to meet at the studio. When I arrived, Chloe and Caleb were there. They weren't working. They were wrapped around each other, flirting. Seeing me, Caleb tightened his arm around Chloe possessively. Just so you know, Ethan, she's mine now. I had to stop myself from laughing out loud. I pulled up a chair and sat down. Chloe sauntered over. Ethan, if you apologize to me right now, I might consider forgiving you. If you agree to raise the baby in my belly as your own, I'll forget everything you've done. And, of course, she paused. From now on, you have to be nice to Caleb. You can't stop us from seeing each other. And you need to invest more money into my studio. I want to expand. Also, unfreeze your bank cards. I need full access to them. Your behavior lately has really upset me. She took a deep breath. On top of the original $1 million you promised my parents, you'll need to add another $100,000 as an apology. Hearing her shameless demands, I almost burst out laughing. I don't make a habit of recycling trash. Chloe's face hardened. Ethan, if you keep being so stubborn, I'm done with you for good. Just then, the landlord walked in. I immediately told him I was terminating the lease. Chloe looked completely bewildered. Why? This studio is where my dream began. I shot her a look. I'm the one who leased the space, so I have the right to terminate it. Haven't you found yourself a new sponsor? Let him build your dream for you. The landlord and I quickly signed the termination papers. Seeing that I was serious, Chloe started to panic. Ethan, if you close the studio, what am I supposed to do? I pointed to Caleb, who was standing beside her, looking like this had nothing to do with him. Not my problem. Chloe's expression turned dark. You're trying to destroy me. Aren't you afraid? Afraid something will happen to me. I laughed. What does your life have to do with me? With that, I turned and left. As I got into my car, I heard the landlord's voice. Miss Vance, you have 3 days to clear out your belongings. The new tenant moves in after that. I smiled and started the car. She deserved it. The landlord was not a patient man. Chloe, ignoring his warning, didn't move her things. So the landlord had his crew dump everything, hers and Caleb's, out on the sidewalk. The new tenant was some tough guy, and when Chloe stood on the curb screaming at him, he slapped her twice. That shut her up. Caleb just cowered behind her. A few days later, perhaps finally realizing my value, Chloe showed up at my office. I refused to see her and had security escort her out. To my surprise, she camped outside the building for days. Not wanting my personal life to affect my work, I finally went down to see her after I finished my projects. The evening air was chilly, and I instinctively pulled my coat tighter. Chloe was huddled by the entrance, shivering in her thin clothes. When she saw me, she struggled to her feet. Aside from her slightly swelling belly, she was frighteningly thin. I'm a little cold, she stammered. I shrugged, and she pointed at my coat. Aren't you going to give it to me? You always used to be so scared of me getting sick. I laughed and buttoned my coat all the way up. You could drop dead right in front of me, and it would have nothing to do with me. She stared at me in disbelief. You don't care about me at all? You used to treat me like a princess. You said you'd love me forever, that you'd forgive me no matter what I did. Ethan, you can't leave me. Besides you, I have no one else. A cold laugh escaped me. I was good to you because I loved you. But now, your betrayal just makes me sick. Maybe falling for you was the stupidest mistake of my life. Thank God I woke up when I did. Chloe burst into tears, her body shaking violently, her eyes filled with despair. Then she collapsed. I had no choice but to take her to the hospital. When she woke up and saw me, her eyes lit up. I knew it. I knew you wouldn't leave me. You still love me. I shrugged and pointed to Caleb, who was standing on the other side of the bed. The father of your child is right there. Caleb's face was dark with anger. Chloe, you're with me now. Why are you still clinging to your ex? The baby in your belly is mine. Chloe's face turned white with rage. She sat up. Caleb, what gives you the right to compare yourself to him? He has money. He owns property. What do you have? Besides being good for one thing in bed, you're completely useless. You can't even afford my prenatal checkups. I regret the day I let a loser like you seduce me and ruin my life. The more she spoke, the angrier she got, until she finally slapped Caleb hard across the face twice. He stood there, stunned, his face turning shades of red and purple. Chloe, if I didn't know you had money and were an easy target, you think I want an old woman like you? Always wanting to try crazy things, but in bed you're as stiff as a board. I have to close my eyes just to get through it with you. The words old woman seemed to trigger something in Chloe. She leaped out of the bed and lunged at him. They started tearing at each other. I turned and walked toward the door. Just as I reached it, I heard Chloe cry out in pain. Ethan, help me. I didn't break my stride. I walked out of the room. I thought after a fight that ugly, they would surely break up. But a week later, I received a wedding invitation from her in the mail. Wanting nothing more to do with her, I threw it straight into the trash. As fate would have it, a friend of mine was getting married on the same day at the same hotel. My friend's wedding was in the grand ballroom on the second floor. Chloe and Caleb's was in a shabby conference room on the first floor. It looked nothing like the wedding we had once planned. There were no flowers, just a few cheap streamers taped to the pillars. Chloe was wearing a dated-looking red dress. It didn't fit right, and she kept tugging at the straps to keep it from falling down. A colleague who was with me nudged my arm. I heard his family looks down on her. They refused to pay for a proper dress or a nice wedding. And because she's pregnant, they didn't give her family a dime. Her life is going to be hell. I just smiled faintly. Chloe saw me and immediately ran over, her ill-fitting shoes threatening to fly off with every step. She looked exhausted, but her eyes were bright. Ethan, you came to take me away, right? I knew you still had feelings for me. If you take me with you, I'll get rid of the baby. We can leave this city, go somewhere no one knows us, and start over. What do you say? I smiled and held up my friend's invitation. Sorry, I'm here for a friend's wedding. The light in her eyes died. Already bought the house, by the way, I added. $3.5 million. And I had a custom ring made, worth 300 grand. The flame in her eyes reignited. I knew it. You were preparing all of this for me. Ethan, I love you so much. I smirked. Sorry, that's all for my wife. And you don't qualify. Chloe staggered back. Just as she reached for me, a woman stormed over. Her voice was sharp. Chloe, you're married to my son now. If I catch you messing around again, I'll teach you a lesson myself. And another thing, you're the old cow who roped in my young son, so you better listen to me. After this wedding, we're getting a job. You can't expect my son to support you. The woman grabbed Chloe's arm and dragged her away. She wasn't gentle. Chloe winced in pain, looking back at me with pleading eyes. I ignored her and headed upstairs. A stranger's fate was none of my business. A year later, I returned from a trip with my new girlfriend. Sophia was from Europe, gentle and kind. We hadn't known each other long, but our connection was deep and sweet. She adored me, and to our friends, we were the perfect couple. She loved being around people, so when we got back, I took her to a welcome home dinner my friends were throwing for me. Having lived abroad her whole life, Sophia was fascinated by everything. As she was studying the menu, a friend leaned over and whispered, "Hey, I just found out Chloe works at this restaurant." I froze. I hadn't heard that name in a year. If you don't want to see her, we can go somewhere else. Just then, a waitress came to our table. Sophia, ever enthusiastic, pointed to several dishes on the menu. In her charming, accented English, she said, "I want these and a Coke with ice." I glanced at the menu. "The food is fine," I said with a smile, "but no cold drink." Sophia pouted. "Why not?" she whined, tugging at my arm. I tapped her rosy cheek. "It's that time of the month. No cold drinks for you." Then I turned to the waitress. "Could you please bring her hot tea instead? With some honey and lemon, if possible. My girlfriend likes it sweet." The hand holding the ordering tablet trembled. I instinctively looked up. Our eyes met. She looked mortified. Ethan, I never would have expected to run into Chloe so soon. If she hadn't said my name, I wouldn't have recognized the woman standing before me, who looked 10 years older than the vibrant person I once knew. Her hair was thin, her skin sallow. Her eyes were dull, and the exposed skin on her arms was covered in faint, yellowish bruises. It looked like she'd been beaten. Sophia tugged on my sleeve. "Honey, you know her?" I shook my head with a smile. "No." The tablet slipped from Chloe's hand and clattered to the floor. As she turned to run away, I saw the tears streaming down her face. I felt nothing. Throughout the meal, I doted on Sophia, who ate with gusto. Midway through, she went to the restroom, and Chloe cornered her on the way back. I saw them talking, so I went to intervene. When I got there, I found Chloe blocking my path. Her voice was hoarse. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I regret everything." I finished drying my hands. "Miss, could you please move? My girlfriend is waiting for me." Suddenly, Chloe threw her arms around me from behind. "Ethan, take me with you. Please. If you don't, Caleb's going to kill me one of these days. He says I don't earn enough. He kicked me out to go back to work just 10 days after I gave birth. His mother took my baby. Please, help me get away from him. Please." I pried her off me. "If you continue to harass a customer, I can have you reported." Realizing I wasn't going to help, she suddenly ripped open the top of her uniform. Before I could react, she threw herself against my chest. Just as I was about to shove her away, Sophia walked into the restroom. I started to explain, but Chloe beat me to it. "He's mine." Sophia walked right up to her, pushed her away, and slapped her hard across the face. She wrapped her arm around mine possessively. "He is my husband," she declared in her broken but fierce English. "You, the woman who betrayed him, are not good enough to be near him." With that, Sophia pulled the suit jacket off my shoulders and threw it into a nearby trash can with a look of utter disgust. She touched it. "It's dirty." I smiled. I gave her a thumbs up and kissed her on the lips. "I'm all yours." The last glimmer of hope in Chloe's eyes died. She sank to the floor, sobbing. I led Sophia back to our table. We had just sat down when a man burst through the restaurant doors and charged toward Chloe as she stumbled out of the restroom. He grabbed a fistful of her hair and threw her to the ground. I looked closer and recognized him. Caleb. A year had not been kind to him. The handsome young man was gone, replaced by a slob with a beer gut and a vicious look in his eyes. "Where's the money you got paid today?" he snarled. Chloe didn't answer. Her eyes found mine across the room. Seeing my indifference, her tears began to fall again. Caleb started frantically patting down her pockets. Finding nothing, he lost his patience and began punching her in the face over and over. The people around us acted like this was normal. No one even reached for their phone. I sighed. Just as I was about to dial 911, Chloe suddenly shoved Caleb off her. He stumbled and fell. Before he could get up, Chloe snatched a wine bottle from a nearby table and smashed it over his head. Blood sprayed everywhere. As if that wasn't enough, she kicked him between the legs and ground her heel into him. Caleb let out a series of blood-curdling screams. Blood spattered across Chloe's face and clothes. With his last ounce of strength, Caleb managed to pin her to the ground again, beating her until he was exhausted. Finally free, Chloe, her face swollen and bruised, began to crawl toward me. I calmly stood up and helped Sophia with her coat. "Let's go." I took her hand and walked right past Chloe. Her outstretched hand fell limply to the floor. Tears streamed for the corners of her eyes. "I really regret it," she choked out. I heard her words, filled with guilt and despair. I smiled faintly. "I don't." 2 weeks later, I heard what happened. Caleb had been taken to the hospital that day, but they couldn't stop the bleeding, and he died. Chloe was arrested and charged with murder. While in custody, she repeatedly begged Caleb's parents to let her see her child. Not only did they refuse, but they also showed her multiple videos of the baby being brutally beaten. Chloe had a complete breakdown. She killed herself in her cell that night. Hearing the news, I just smiled. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the ring. Dropping to one knee in front of Sophia, I asked, "Will you marry me?"